Okay, so let me explain what will be today. Today we have a technical exam with partially theoretical questions, more theoretical questions, and partially practical tasks. Our expected time for today is about 1 or maybe 1.5 hours, depending on your speed. So, are you ready?
No, of course not.
No, of course you are not. Okay, but we will start anyway. We will start anyway. So the first question, I think it is pretty easy. Imagine that you have a regression task, a new functionality testing task, and the critical defect verification task. And all the tasks have the same priority in your system. So what order is the most correct to do? What task you're gonna start? What is the next one and the next one?
I would suppose I would start with critical defects verification task. If it's critical, it impacts our functionality too much to ignore it. Then I would probably continue with new functionality test cases and end up with regression testing because it is usually more stable than everything else.
Okay, and if I will tell you that tomorrow is a release and this new functionality is not included to the release, what will be the order?
Then we can switch regression and new functionality testing.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you. The next one. What is a testing pyramid, and why is this a pyramid, not other shape?
The testing pyramid consists of 4 layers. At the bottom there is unit testing, test cases. After that, slightly higher, there is integration testing. Then on the 3rd level, there is system testing, and at the top, there is user acceptance testing. This is the order of things because of the amount of tests which are performed at each level. Since unit testings are unit testing consists of all code checking, there is an extreme amount of tests which are to be performed, and then they slightly diminish when we are going to the top level. Also,
yeah, go ahead, please.
Also, we may think about this because of who performs each level and which type of box it is. So it kind of sticks together in this way.
Okay. And if I will ask you about the cost saving, how this pyramid will look like?
As always, there is a shift left testing when the cost is concerned. So the same will be the more bugs are found on the lower level, the easier it is to, and the more cost effective it is to correct them.
So how our shape will look like, our pyramid?
If we found something on the unit level, it is the less cost. So if our pyramid reflects how much cost is required, then it will be inverse shape.
Okay, thank you very much. The next question, when do you need a database testing separately, not in integration, not in full testing of system, but the database testing separately, in which situations?
For database testing. Like totally separate.
Yeah.
Let's think about this, but a bit. Usually data is massive. So sometimes if it's inconsistent, if we have a way to change it other than from, we have several ways to change it. Sometimes we have to test it itself because it should be consistent within itself.
Okay, could you list some ways of changing, reasons to change the data in the database, and some ways to change the data?
Sometimes, like a user can change it through UI, and then an admin can change it through direct connection. And sometimes this conflict could cause the system to shut down.
Okay. Okay, so changing the data, maybe you can list some other reasons to test the database directly.
If we have some migration from
yeah.
server to server, maybe we had some technology type migration.
Okay.
I'm not sure I have any other ideas.
Database architecture changing. One more is database architecture changing. If the database changed, for example, added new table or changed some columns in the table, some records. Records is a data, okay. Some columns in the table, for example.
I also think if we have a backup use.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this is true. Yeah. Thank you. Why do we need a traceability matrix? What is it and why do we need it?
Because we have agile.
Okay.
Sometimes we have some requirements which were and now they are not, and in this case some such cases should be obsolete, and if we don't have this matrix, it will be hard to find them. Also, we sometimes may have duplicated requirement test things, so we have one requirement in several test cases, and we should pay attention if we are doing same job 2 times, but sometimes it is okay, sometimes it's not.
Okay.
Also, the coverage of our requirements is also traced here. So it is very visual to see if everything is covered with test cases.
Good. Correct. The next one is about networks. What is the difference between TCP and UDP protocols? And what applications mostly use TCP and which applications mostly use UDP?
TCP requires an established connection. That's why TCP handshake exists. Usually, it is more or less sensitive to the fullness of data things. For example, like emails, like downloading something. So you need a file which is where every packet is present. So you need to count them. You need to resend them if something is lost. If you send some sensitive things, like, for example, a password somewhere in any place, if you use like a character for some reason, it will be not fun. On the contrary, UDP requires no established connection, and it just sends packets to the void to the target, and usually it is used in like video calls, in some streaming, so you can just miss a shot and continue. You don't need to send stuff. But
Good. Yeah, thank you. Correct. A bit of HTTP. What is the difference between HTTP code 400 and 403?
Simply. 403 is forbidden for this user. If I remember correctly. 400, don't really remember. I think 401 was authorization required.
Yeah.
400, I don't remember.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. How to change the name of a button on UI using standard tools? Standard browser tools.
Oh, it is meant to be changed temporarily.
Yeah.
For some time. You can open DevTools, and when there is a list of elements, you can just type something there, and it will change till the next refresh.
Okay. Thank you. What is the difference between REST methods put and patch?
Patch, if I remember correctly, patch updates just a part of some entity, and the put updates it all.
Okay, thank you.
But patch is not really often utilized.
Yeah, I agree with you, but actually this is one of the favorite questions on the interview. Okay, and one more question. Why do we need HTTP options?
Options, like which one?
This is a special method, HTTP options. Do you remember it?
No.
Okay, yeah. Let's go further then. What sniffers do you know? And describe each one.
If I remember correctly, TCP dump was a command in Linux terminal, which is a sniffer.
Okay.
Is everything in Linux terminal is pretty depressing. And you need to write special keys to rule how much information you want to see and all that. And for example, there is a Wireshark for Windows, which has a graphical user interface and more nice to look at. And there are also some not really a sniffer, some mobile thing which you can install for mobile, but it has some
Charles.
Yes, the name.
Yeah.
So it's
Okay.
slightly sniffer for mobile. So that's
Okay, thank you. Thank you. One more question, more for fantasy, because we didn't learn it during the course, but just imagine that you are on the interview to the company which is doing some mobile application. And the question is, try to suppose what specific tests could be added for the mobile application. What tests that cannot be done for web application or desktop application, but could be done for mobile application, some specific tests.
Not for every web application. I think it is so sensitive to permanent network availability, like very often mobile apps are. So there will be some bunch of test cases which are devoted to how the mobile app looks like when network is suddenly lost for a while.
Okay.
Easier to set. Some will have on mobiles a feature which is screen separation between two apps, and I think it works really different from Windows application, Windows side. So some cases will be devoted to this. Could be
Okay.
to this. I don't think that, for example, like screen resolution cases are different from web apps. Or like phone. There is a funny thing about cameras on the mobiles, which should be not a part of a window, otherwise. So there will be some test cases about that, but it considers elements of the physical design of the phone.
Else?
Sort of ideas for now.
Okay. What about different fonts, different operating systems?
But it's the same
as
for web. We have like the same, like the variety of operating systems for web apps, and we have them there for PCs, and there are different operating systems for phones, but the idea is the same. We just have for mobile operating systems.
Okay. What about different devices? Different types of devices, phones?
It's hard for me to decide if it's not the same as different things inside the computer.
Okay.
Inside the PC. is it so different to think about it as a new test cases, like for example, an iPhone and an Android, or NVIDIA and different video card in PC? Are they so different in two tests?
Okay, thank you. Thank you, correct. Another question. You have a serious functional defect that is fixed, and this defect is on you. What will be your actions?
It received a status that is fixed in the
the status is fixed.
I should
nothing more.
I should retest it, and if I see that it is fixed, I can probably mark it closed if I have such condition, or I can reopen it if it is not fixed, which happens sometimes.
Okay, anything else? Other activities? I
may update some documentation because of this. For example, the system now works slightly differently, and I should expect something slightly different from a test case in expected results. Or maybe I should add something about this to the Confluence, to say that this piece of our software is prone to some serious defects. Maybe it's some architecture flaw, and now we have a crutch there, which everyone should be aware of.
Okay, good. And now we've done with the theoretical questions, and we're gonna go to the practical tasks. And the first one will be Linux. I will send you to the chat. Moment. Yeah, I sent. So you have a log file, and you need to find some line there with the following conditions. And save your findings in the output file, and then count the number of lines in the result. Please think some moments, some minutes, and send me back to the chat, to the Zoom chat.
I would be like nose down to in many grip right now. If I could. I should do it in one comment or
Better in one, yes. If it is impossible to do it in one comment, so please separate into several comments. But one comment is better.
will not work like I think it works. I don't remember the key for not containing something. I know that there is one, but I will probably look it up in men.
Okay. So, do you have any variants right now?
Will be very bad. Really bad. This part will be
log to the result log, and the next comment is you see minus L. Okay, what would be better here? The first is the key. Key is minus V here actually, and the next one is it will be enough to write error, then dash pipe, and then bug.
It's logical.
And you wrote, yeah. Yeah. Okay, thank you anyway. And now maybe it will be easier for you. This is the test design task. I will send you the link to the chat. You can open it and let me explain what is it. Let me maybe even better share my screen right now to show this for for you. Yeah. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So this is an application, very simple application called Online Cinema. And in this application, we have several tables in the database. In the customers tables, we have the information about users who can watch films, videos in the online cinema. And in the video table, we have the list of all the films that we have in the database. So in the database, we have the information about users and films. FTP contains some information about logins that performed by users. And here we have the server side that is communicating with both web front part and the databases and FTP parts through REST with web and through MySQL protocol with MySQL through FTP protocol with FTP side. And the web front is a simple user interface where the user can log in and see all the list of the films and can press some button like watch or something and watch a film. So this is a simple application. What have done in this application? A new feature says us that now all the films should have an age mark. This feature is realized very simply for the first time, that each film should have here in the video table age limit mark of type Boolean. So if age limit is true, it is a kid and can watch only kids movies. And if it is false, it is an adult and can watch everything. Before implementing this feature, we have got some third-party database with the films and with the marks, and migrated this third-party database to our database. And now in our database, we sure that we have, it should be that we have all the films marked in the database. But what to do with customers? If the customers has already ever logged into the application, the next login will show this customer a special model window where the customer could enter the age. It is a simple number, not a date of birth, just a simple number, because we wanted to implement this feature very simply. And if the customer is completely new, on the registration page, he or she will see a special field age with a simple number as well. So this is the new feature that we implemented. And your task is to cover this feature with test cases on all the levels. What will you do? You could think a bit if you need. If you don't need, you could just answer.
Should I test the databases? This, we are pretty sure it is there. Do I have some access to the database?
Yeah, you have an access everywhere, yes.
So I need to test both database and UI.
Yeah, you should test everything. You should cover the feature with test on all the levels of the application.
Can I write something for myself, like notes?
Yeah, sure. So
very many tests. No. But I can start a bit.
yeah. Please.
So I think we need to check our database. First point, I think it is not optimal, but for example, we can select from everything from customers where age is now and
Yeah.
and compare it with know where in order to see if the number of records is the same. Then we should and we will see if it works as intended. This point. The second point is that then we should select everything from videos where age limit is now in case our something didn't work. We probably will see if our age limit field is missing because it will say that. Then we can proceed to the registration page testing. I think we should probably apply here equivalence testing and boundary value analysis. So we will have like a negative number, then 0, 1, then a middle of 0 and 18, 9, then 17, 18, 19, 75, 149, 150, 151, and because I chose a maximum human life 150.
Okay.
And
Optimistic. Optimistic. Okay.
No, just pretty random number, but
okay.
And we should try to insert some negative tests, as one negative was there with a negative value, and some negative with spaces, with empty field, with symbols, with text, with capital. It was always a question for me how many negative tests we should have here, but I think some average amount.
Okay.
I don't think we need to try to different types of letters, for example, like hieroglyphs and period. Maybe we should skip this here. Then we should try to we will have to create a customer with now age for testing purposes in order to test this frame. And that will require and we will have to have an access to the database, because I don't think we will be able to test this without it. Then we will have the same test as on the registration page for the age here, if it doesn't utilize the same piece of code, which we probably don't know.
Okay.
So we'll have to test everything again. Then I don't know how to do this better, because we need to see how our filtration works. We can compare probably with the database if we have some counter. on the UI and in the database output. Like we will select fields with, for example, like with age limit false, and compare it with the customer with this age on the UI.
Okay, good.
And I think there is an error in the description. Because
yeah, it could be. Could be. Anything else?
I'm not sure if probably okay. If we test only this feature, okay, we probably should look into how our customers' age changes with time.
Yes,
because it looks like it will be static if you insert, or it will be counted. I'm not sure how it works, but maybe we should update this feature, because if it's static, it will be bad. It will be unpleasant experience if a customer should update his age personally by hand.
Yeah. Good.
I don't think we have any requirements for this age fields to be really true. No specification. So if it doesn't broke the law of the country, so that there is no verification of an age with some document, then it will be fine with this amount of tests.
Yeah, okay. Only one question about your coverage. When you put some age to the model, for example, to the model field, what will be the scenario here? So you just put an age and press OK, and that's all, or some scenario is supposed to be done here?
We may have some non-functional testing with, for example, a mock-up of this frame.
Okay.
So probably we should compare our elements with our required planned elements. And probably OK as a click or as an enter.
Okay, this is non-functional testing, and it is good that you mention it, but I'm talking about a bit different thing. I'm talking about test scenarios. Of course, everything that you mentioned is not about the scenarios, but about some specific things, some single things. But what about testing the sequence of user steps here?
Those were automatic test cases, good test cases.
Okay.
We can, I think, make some end-to-end testing with an existing customer and with a non-existing customer.
Okay.
So we register as a customer, then we add field age, press OK, and then go to search and search something. And for a registered customer, we make our return login, we see our frame, we search something, and we see how it works in this user flow.
Okay. Good result. Thank you. I think we've done with this task, and I have one more for you. About the troubleshooting. So imagine that you are testing a 3-tier application. You have the UI, you have the backend, API, and the database. And you have access to everything, including underlying operating systems and affected servers and databases everywhere. And you test the UI. And on the UI, you have a list. Let it be a list of users. You add a new user to this list from the UI. So you press some button like add user. Some model window is opened. You write everything to this model window, and you're absolutely sure that you filled everything correctly. Then you save this user. The model window is closed, but you cannot see this user in the list. It is not added. So your task is to localize this defect, and please describe me the steps and describe me where you will find the root cause of this defect and in what order.
We have a 0-step with refresh the page. I'm sure with it, because
okay, we refreshed, nothing changed. User is still not there.
Very big localizing process is always. We can start with the client because we can probably have some issues going on with him. Maybe our software is not supported. For example, we use browser which is not intended to be used. Maybe we have some antivirus which prevents us from sending something. Maybe he thinks it's some sensitive data, he streams it and something happens.
Okay.
And there is some question about network. Probably if we can refresh a page, it works, but we will check it on the UI, some think about this. And maybe our client doesn't have a permission to create user.
So who can have a permission to create? Do you mean user who logged in or what?
Maybe user from some network, maybe user from some country, maybe something like that.
Okay. It's a variant, yeah. So say that the network is okay, we have no sensitive data, and
we will check this.
Everything is correct with the permission of the user who logged into the application.
We will double check it on the UI because we can open DevTools and look in the request and in the response, and on the waterfall times of loading. Maybe we have, for example, our site loads very long, but in order to create user, it should send faster or get it faster.
Okay, yeah, it could be. But let's suppose that everything is okay with this, and we gone to the DevTools and we send the request and see that request is okay. We have 202 response there. So what will be our next steps?
We will probably check the network connection between UI and backend.
But we already checked the DevTools and we saw that everything is okay there. The request is sent and response is sent back. So probably this is not a problem. Yeah. Okay. So we've checked. What will be the next step?
We should probably go to the backend and look there for some stuff. Probably if we have a user list, then our backend process is running. Probably. It may be, I'm not sure it's 100 because if we have some cache, then who knows if the process it may be some separate microservice which shows the list and it's there. Who knows? So probably we should go with PS and check processes and with system CPL to check services. That.
Okay. Let's say that everything is okay there as well. What else?
Here again, we probably should check some permissions. I mean, in like Linux sense, if our user list can be updated at all. I mean, like a file itself on the server.
Okay.
Maybe there are some temporary files which prevent us from updating the list. Like some error was happened at some point, and now there is some temporary file which prevents this process from functioning properly. Maybe we should check configuration files. Maybe we should have started with logs, but let's say we should check configuration files, because there may be literally like a line which says if user list can be updated or not, like true, false, and it's
okay.
Different.
Good catch. Okay.
And now we should
what else?
The logs, and maybe we should pick something from the logs.
Okay, so we are in the logs. In which logs we are now?
Of our backend service.
Okay, backend logs says that everything is okay because backend is working. Nothing interesting in the backend logs. What else?
We should probably I don't know, should we proceed to the database already or not?
Yes, we should. Yes, we should, because we have an access to the database in this case, and
maybe we should check something here else. Like there was some update. I'm not sure if it's written in service logs or somewhere else. But okay, we can proceed to the database. We should check that network between backend and database works properly, because again we have
where we should check it.
We can either list a list of active connections between backend and database with net.
Okay, connection is okay. We checked, and we have an active connection between.
And it should be the correct port.
Yes, we use the correct port. What else could be happened there?
If we have invalid credentials written in the
invalid credential for what?
For database access.
From who should have correct credentials?
Backend.
Backend, yes. So this is the problem. And where we can find it?
In the configuration logs. Usually.
In the configuration logs, yes. Okay. So we saw there an error that says authentication failed.
And in the configuration files, we should check that the credentials are correct.
Credentials are incorrect, and we found it in the configuration file. So the backend credentials to the database. This is our answer to this question, actually. So you have found it. Okay. Okay. Thank you. I liked it because you proposed a lot of reasons. Thank you. And now let's describe the defect that you have found. What will you write in the title?
Should it be a defect?
Yes, it should be a defect. It should be a defect because somebody should fix it. And somebody should find the time to fix, and somebody should track this time for something, for some task. So it should be a defect.
Because
Let's describe it.
I could apply for the correct credentials.
Yes, maybe you have rights to update the credentials, but let's say that you don't, and you should write a defect for somebody who have access and who should correct these credentials.
Oh. Probably I should write in the name something about that it is a backend. Then incorrect database credentials in configuration file. Maybe that will be okay.
Yeah.
And then steps will be like connect to the backend somehow, or open the configuration file, line of database credentials is shown, and then expected result line of database credentials correspond with our architecture. Actual result line of database credentials is something which is wrong, which does not correspond with our architecture.
Absolutely. Anything else for this defect? Maybe some attachments.
I can probably add a screenshot of line. It will be visual.
Okay.
I can provide as part of the log.
Yeah.
And the link to our requirements where the correct credentials are listed or
perfect.
Or mentioned.
Yeah. Thank you. And to whom this defect should be assigned? To what team?
There is a team which
or maybe some guy, I don't know, maybe a team.
There is always a person who is responsible for our test environment.
And what is the position of this person typically?
Desktops.
Desktops, so the DevOps, Okay. Thank you. The last question actually for today. A team member rejected your defect, your actions. Not this one that you have just wrote, any defect. A programmer said that it is not reproduced on his machine. What will you do?
If he even said that it was not reprocessed, it was already some information. He at least tried. So it's not a case of, I think it's a bug, but somebody thinks it's not a bug, it's just not reproduced. I can recheck for good measure. Then I can probably provide information about my environment, because probably maybe we have different environments, and that's why. I can provide some extra visual stuff like a video. I think it will be the first iteration of me trying to reopen it. I think I didn't forget some test information. I think I added it there, so we are trying the same test data. I think this will be the first thing I will try to send to him again.
Okay,
If
good.
he refuses again, then we will meet in person.
Yeah, then you will take some subject and go to him. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. That was the last question for today's exam, and you have very good result. It is 88 out of 100.
Thank you.
Yeah. What gaps do you have? Not so many gaps actually. Rest is your main gap because you didn't fully answer the question about HTTP codes, and that questions could be met on a real interview. People love questions about HTTP codes, REST methods, put patch, all that stuff. So it's better to repeat it again. And what else? HTTP, yeah. So the same. So this is the only topic that I would like to propose you to repeat. The rest is okay. Maybe some Linux command, but this task was actually very complicated. You will not have such tasks on the interview with a great probability. Maybe some simpler Linux commands. So that's all. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You graduated from the course, and now if you want to, you could join our employment process.
I want to.
Okay, so welcome. I will send you the instructions soon then, and we could start to search for a job for you. So have a nice day, and thank you for
Thank you very
participating
much.
today. It was a pleasure. Yeah, thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.